Greetings, everyone.
เจริญพรทุกคน
It's only a blink of an eye. It's already half a year. It's gone. Time flies.
ผ่านไปครึ่งปีแล้ววันเวลา
Some of the
ผ่า
people
น
we
อย่างรว
know
ดเร็ว
have passed on.
คนที่เรารู้จัก
Some of Luangpu's friends
หายไป
have
บางส่วน
passed on, passed away.
รุ่นหลวงพ่อนะเพื่อนรุ่นเดียวกันตายไป
Time
30-40
swallow
คน
everything. Swallow the people we know.
เวลาผ่านไป
New
ก
things
ลืนกิน
arise.
ทุกสิ่งทุกอย่าง
Things
ที่
keep
เราคุ้น
changing.
เคยที่เรารู้จักก็มีสิ่งใหม่ๆผ่านเข้ามาแทนที่หมุนเวียนไปไม่รู้จักจบ
Every day there are news. Not so good news.
แต่ละ
Sometimes
วัน
about the
ก็จะมี
monks.
ข่าว
Sometimes about the fire.
ที่ไม่ดีนะมากมาย
Sometimes
ช่วงก็เรื่อง
about
พระ
death. Life is
เรื่
full
อง
of
ไฟไหม้คน
uncertainties.
ตายเรื่องอะไรนะ
We
ชีวิ
cannot
ตมัน
be
เต็มไปด้วยความ
negligent.
ไม่แน่นอน
Like those monks who were just
พวก
walking
เรา
along the
ประมา
road.
ณไม่ได้
They didn't do anything, but they were hit and
ยัง
killed
พระ
by a
เดิน
car.
อยู่ข้างถนนนะไม่ได้ทำอะไรรถ
And
มาช
there's
นเอา
another incident. Those
คน
people
ไป
who
เที่ยว
went to a bar and the bar was on fire,
กินเบียร์
and many people died.
ไฟคลอกตาย
Bars are
ล
not.
งขายเบียร์ขายอะไรนะเป็น
It's a
ที่อ
place
โคจร
that
สำหรับ
is
พระนะ
not permitted for monks.
แต่สำหรับเรา
But for lay
ก็เป็น
people,
ที่
they like to hang out there.
มั่วสุมเป็นแหล่ง
For
อบา
us
ยมุก
Buddhists, it is
นี่ถ้าเรา
better that
ชาว
we
พุทธนะเราเลี่ยงได้เราก็เลี่ยงซะ
avoid
แต่บาง
those
ทีเลี่ย
places,
งไม่
but
ได้
sometimes
จำเป็น
it
เราต้อง
cannot be
มีสติ
avoided. Then we have to go there sometimes too.
ตอนหลวงพ่อรับราชการใหม่ๆเราเป็นข้าราชการผู้น้อยนะ
When Luangpu was a lay
ไปประ
person,
ชุมสัมมนา
after
เนี่ย
finish
ผู้ใหญ่มาลากไป
work in the evening, he just went home.
ประชุมเสร็จพาเข้าผับเข้าอะไรก็ไม่
But
รู้เรียกอะไรก็
sometimes
เรียก
he
ไม่
is
ถูกนะ
asked to attend a
Yeah.
party too.
เทคหรืออะไรต่างๆส
It
มั
was
ยนั้น
unavoidable, but he attended those
ก็
parties
ต้องไป
with
เลี่ยงไม่ได้ก็ต้องไป
mindfully
แต่
attended
ไป
those
ด้วยความ
parties.
มีสติ
Those
เข้า
in
ไป
those
นะ
at
เห็น
those places,
แสง
there
ไฟ
was
วูบวาบวูบวาบ
so much loud
เสียง
noise,
เพลงดัง
lots
ส
of
นั่นหวั่น
smoke.
ไหว
People were smoking.
ควันบุหรี่อะไรต่ออะไรโอ้เต็ม
Luangpu didn't
วัด
like
ไปหมด
those
เลย
places. Those places remind Luangpu
เห็นเรา
of
ไม่ได้หลงไหล
hell.
เห็นเรารู้สึก
Hell looked like
ถึง
that.
นรกนะดูไม่ได้มีความ
If
สุขอะ
you are mindful, you can feel
ที่
that
สุด
those
ได้
places are
ถ้า
not
หลงถ้ามีสติอยู่เราจะรู้สึกว่า
as
ไม่ใช่ที่
good
สุด
as
เลย
those places that is
ที่ไหน
more quiet
เงีย
and
บๆ
calm.
สงบสงัดอะไรเงี้ยนั่นเป็นที่ที่เราอยู่แล้ว
But
เรามีความ
wherever
สุ
you
ข
go, you have to be mindful.
แต่จำเป็นต้องเข้าไปก็มีสติเข้าไปก็มองเห็นแล้วก็เกิ
If
ด
you are mindful,
ค
you
วาม
can
สลด
see
สังเว
that
ชมนุษย์
it
เรา
doesn't matter where
มันจะ
either
สุข
you're
อะไรนักห
happy,
นา
joyful,
ไม่นานทุกคน
it's
ก็ตาย
actually
จากกันหมด
unsubstantial.
เนี่ยหลง
Life
เพลิ
is
น
short.
อยู่กับโลก
Everything
ไม่
comes
ได้
and
มี
goes.
สาระแก่นสารอะไรนี่พอโตขึ้นนะก็ไม่มีใครมาบังคับเราเป็น
Sometimes Luangpu had to go to a bar and sit by the people who were drinking.
ต้องไปนั่งดูเขากินเหล้าเราไม่กินนะ
But it's best that we train ourselves to spend our time
ใช้
wisely.
เวลาให้มีค่าที่สุดในแต่ละวัน
We all still have to work,
ที่เราว่าง
but after we finish work, there are times that we don't need to think about
เว
work.
ลาไหนที่เราไม่ต้อง
It's a good time to practice.
คือเวลา
It's
ป
at
ฏิบัติ
your own
เป็นเวลา
time.
ส่วนตัวของเรา
For most people, it's the time after work.
ในบางคนคิดว่าเวลาส่วน
But
ตัว
some say that, oh no, after work is a time to just
หรือเวลาที่
relax and enjoy.
พักร้อนในพวกนี้
But
จริงๆ
actually,
เวลา
that
ส่วน
is
ตัว
the best
เยอะ
time
นะแต่ละวัน
to practice.
ตอนไหนที่เราไม่ต้องทำงานที่ใช้ความ
practice regularly, little by little, maybe 1 hour. Take a little break between work for maybe 5 minutes. Every take 5 minutes for every hour. And throughout the day, you will have like an hour. Every day, since Luangpa was a layperson, he practiced regularly. He never felt that he didn't have enough time. He practiced since he woke up. After he woke up, he examined himself, his mind, and then he got up to do the daily activities. Observe the mind working. As he went to the toilet, he also observed he still practiced. As he go to the toilet, sometimes he worry about having to have the bowel movement because he didn't want to have a stomach ache as he traveled to work because traffic in Bangkok can be very long. You don't want to go to the toilet when you're in the bus. So even in the shower, in the toilet, you can still practice. When you see this, you dislike it, no so. When you see this, you like it, you can know so. As Luangpa left the house and he waited for the bus by the bus stop, and he worried, and he knew so that he was worried about the bus not coming on time. So for the people now, if you wanna take a train to work, like the Sky Train, the MRT, you can observe yourself too. In the past, during Luangpa's time, everything was separated. The bus, the boat, the train, they are not connected. It was a time after the World War II. People after the World War II, they had a lot of suffering. They worry about how they were gonna live their life. So as we practice, we can know so. Like when Luangpa, when he got onto the bus arrived on time. He was happy. He knew so that he was happy. See that you can blend the practice into everyday's life. As he arrived to work, he was happy. He knew so that he was happy. As he walked to the office from the bus stop, when he walked, he was mindful. He saw that his body was moving, the mind was changing. He worked for the Ministry of Defense. On the path from the bus stop to the office, he cut the walk through the grass. His mind was happy and he knew so. So you can blend everything, blend your practice into your everyday's life. That is the key. So we have to be disciplined. That's how we can blend the practice into everyday's life. Many people will say that, oh, I don't have enough time to practice. That's crazy. If you are disciplined, you can do that. You can blend the practice into your everyday's life. And another thing that we have to do, that we have to uphold the 5 precepts. If you don't have the 5 precepts, you don't have the morality to practice. If you uphold the five moral precepts, that is a guarantee that as we exit this world, we are going to move down to a better realm. So discipline is very important. So we can blend the practice into our everyday life. And also we have to uphold our five moral precepts. Upholding five moral precepts is also the practice. The practice is to learn about the morality. So the learning of the training, there are the training of the morality, the training of the mind, and training of the wisdom. So first, the training of the morality, we have to uphold the five moral precepts. That is an important foundation. And we have to be mindful. We have to have the wisdom. Then we can uphold the five moral precepts better. So they all come together. The morality, the mind, and the wisdom. Some of the people, they thought that they are saying the right thing, but sometimes they can say that in the wrong place and the wrong time. That would not be right. Like when Luangpu was a lay person and he had to sit with the people, with his colleague at the bar, they were drinking, and they told Luangpu that you should take a drink too. And Luangpu said, "Oh no, I'm so sorry, I can't drink." Luangpu could not drink because if Luangpu drank, it would break his promise to keep the five moral precepts. So you have to find a way to uphold the precepts wisely. Like if you are practicing doing the walking meditation and sitting meditation, and you saw a bad man running toward you, and if you saw someone running toward you, someone is, if it's not about, it does not concern you, you can move to another place. And if another person asks you if you saw anyone running passing you, you can say that as I'm walking here at this spot, I didn't see anyone running pass by me. So you didn't lie. So we have to be wise as we keep the five moral precepts. Mindfulness will protect our mind. You don't have to try to protect your mind. Mindfulness is the thing that will protect your mind. Like if you are mindful, what defilement is arising in your mind, then if you are mindful, then you will not break any precept. The defilement cannot overcome you. It's not difficult to know so of your mind. Like right now, are you happy or unhappy? Can you feel it? It's not difficult, right? We do not know because we do not pay attention to our mind. Like when you're angry or feeling greedy or feeling lost, you can feel all that. You can know so all that. We do not know that because we just do not pay attention. That's all.
เราไม่รู้ว่ามันมีคุณค่าหลวงพ่อมันนึกได้นะ
Luangpu practiced by sitting meditation since he was 7 years old. Luangpu had told this story many times. When he was 10 years old, there was a fire. As he ran toward the adults, toward his dad, to tell his dad that there was a fire. At his the first step, his mind was still lost. At second step, his mind was still lost. But then the third step, his mind was awakened. He was mindful, so he was no longer frightened about the fire. Luangpu at that time did not know that that was the mind become a stable observer. Luangpu thought that everyone's mind is just like this, but actually after he grew up, he found out, he saw that most people in the world, their mind are lost. As Luangpu grew up, Luangpu realized that throughout the years, he had been observing his mind all the time. Like when he was in school, before the subject that he didn't like, before the class that he didn't like, his mind was saddened, his mind was irritated, he knew so. And when the subject that he liked, his mind was happy, he knew so. So he knew when his mind was happy, unhappy, worried. So everyone can know of their mind. Many people neglect to do this. They didn't know how important it is to know so of their mind. As you observe your mind, it's not difficult. You can know your mind. As Luangpu think back, Luangpu knew his mind since he was little. But Luangpu didn't realize how important it was to know so of the mind. So we can try. Be mindful. Know so of your mind. Keep knowing so of your mind. Know so when you are happy, unhappy. When the mind is wholesome, unwholesome. When you are sad. When your mind is restless. Luangpu didn't realize how important it was to know so of the mind. Luangpu thought that it only helped when Luangpu was very angry. But actually it is very important. It has a lot of benefits when you keep knowing so of your mind. We are practicing so one day you can be free from suffering. It starts from knowing so of your mind. Keep knowing so of your mind continuously. Whenever you have time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, observe your mind. After you observe your mind, when the defilement arises, you will know so. And as you know so, that defilement would dissipate. It will drop out. And then your mind will be happy. It will be brightened. As soon as you are mindful, the defilement cannot arise any longer. So keep knowing so of your mind often. As long when you're mindful, the defilement cannot stay, and your precepts will be more perfect. So the key is to be mindful. In the Buddha's time, there was a monk. He was a good person. After he ordained, he found out that there are so many rules that would apply for the monks. There are 227 rules for the monks. And if you break one rule, then you have to confess about it. He felt that there was just too many rules, and he thought that he couldn't be a monk then because it's just too many rules. He cannot live like that. So he went to see the Buddha, and he said that I cannot be a monk and keep all these 227 precepts. There are just too many of them, so I would like to ask for permission to leave the monkhood. Then the Buddha replied, what about if I only give you one precept? Can you keep that? And that monk said, oh yes, if it's only one precept, I can. So the Buddha said, one precept for you is to be mindful. So if we are mindful, we know of the mind. If the mind is wholesome, unwholesome, good or bad, after that monk took this one precept, he didn't break any precept, and it was not difficult. So if you feel that upholding the 5 moral precepts is difficult, then maybe you are doing it incorrectly. So if you're mindful, the mindfulness will protect your mind, and you can uphold the precepts easily. When Luang Pa was a lay person, and when he met with Master Luangpu Dun, and Luang Pa asked Luangpu Dun that, Master, I want to practice. Luangpu Dun closed his eyes for 45 minutes before he opened his eye and told Luang Pa when he was a lay person that to practice is not difficult. You have read many books. Now it's time to read your mind. See, to practice is not difficult. It is difficult because you neglect your mind. You don't want to pay attention to your mind. Like throughout the day, like if you're in school, you can nurture your mind. If there are classes you like, you don't like, you can know the mind. Or as you watch the news, if the news make your mind unhappy, you can know so of that. And then it will not be too long, and then you will see that even the mind is not us. If you keep practicing, there are 3 rules when you observe your mind. One is that you don't have to watch the mind ahead. Let the feeling arise, and then know so of the feeling that arise. If you send your mind to observe what is arising, that is not correct way to practice. That is sending the mind to sink down to the feeling, to over focus on the feeling. This apply to any other object. Like for example, if you have the breath as the object, or the stomach rising and falling as the object, and you do not know that the mind is sinking or clinging to the object, then that would be incorrect to practice. You can know so as the mind is clinging to the object. So as you observe the feeling, you don't have to focus on that. Just let it arise naturally, and then know so after it arises. Like when the anger arises, no so after the anger arises. So the first rule of observing the mind, let the feeling arise, and then no so. When the anger arises, no so. When greed arises, no so. The Buddha taught his disciples, he said, monks, no so. When lust arises, and when there's no lust, no so. When the mind has no lust, no so. When the mind has lust, no so. So to observe the mind, you can observe the feeling after the feeling arises. It's a little it's different from observing the body because the body you can observe it as the body is moving. But when you observe the mind, let the feeling arise first, then know so. Like as you observing the body, you can observe the body as it is moving at the present. But when you observe the mind, you cannot observe at the present. You have to let the feeling arise first. Like when the anger arises, at the moment when the anger arises, one cannot be mindful because mindfulness and defilement, they cannot arise together. So let the anger arise and then know so right after the anger arises. But you have to know so quickly, not like you were angry yesterday and you know so today. So as soon as you know so the anger was arising, then the anger will dissipate because they cannot exist together. So let the feeling arise, then know so. That is the first rule of observing the mind. And the second rule is not to sink into the feeling. Observe it as if you are an observer. It's like you are by the road and you're just looking the car running, passing by, not in the middle of the road yourself. It's like you are watching a play or a series. There's a bad character that is the main actor. Our mind is kind of like a play that is displaying all the time. There are many characters. Just keep observing, like you are just watching a play. Don't be on the stage yourself. Or like you are watching a boxing match. You are observing as the audience. You are not a boxer yourself. Luangpu never attend. I never go to watch a boxing match before. But Luangpu saw a match on TV before, and Luangpu saw that the audience was kind of yelling, "Do this, do that, hook on that." The audience would know more than the boxer. But if the audience become the boxer themselves, they probably would lose the match. But because they are observer, they are not hurt, they're not overwhelming inside the boxing stage. But as you observe, you have to have the equanimity with no bias. So as you observe the feeling, observe it as if you are the audience watching a play. There's a character, maybe a bad guy coming in and going out. Becoming the audience or the observer is not like you're trying to separate. You are your mind from your body.
วงนอกก็คือรู้แผ่แบบไม่มีส่วนไหนเสียอะไรจะเกิดก็รู้อย่างนั้นแหละ
When you are an observer,
ถ้าเป็นคนวงในเวลาสุขเกิดก็ชอบเลย
you are not overwhelmed by the feeling.
เกิดเราก็รู้ถ้าเป็นวงในเราก็ดิ้น
So as you observe the mind,
ทำไมมันทุกข์อย่างนี้
just know
เว
so.
ลา
When the mind is bad, know so. When the mind is good, know so. When the mind is upset, you can know so.
จิตสุข
Just
สุข
observe it
จิตทุกข์
as if that we are not
ดูอย่างนั้นดูแบบไม่มีส่วนได้เสีย
gaining
ดูแบบคุณ
or winning anything from just observing.
นี่
That you don't have any
กฎข้อที่หนึ่งนะต่างกัน
anything from observing the mind.
ขณะนี้กำลังเคลื่อนไหวถ้าดูจิตเนี่ยเมื่อกี้นี่โกรธ
So again,
โกรธแล้ว
rule number one for observing the mind is that you can observe the feeling after the feeling arising.
ระหว่างดูกายกับดูจิต
Unlike when you're observing the body, you can observe as the body is moving.
จิตก็คือให้สภาวะเกิดแล้วค่อย
And the second rule of observing the mind is that we have to observe it
มันเหมือนกัน
as if you are
คนวงนอก
an audience watching a play.
กายเราก็เห็นว่ากายมันทำงานไปใจเราอยู่
Be the outside observer.
แต่ไม่ต้องถอดจิตออกจากร่างนะจิตก็อยู่กับตัวอย่างนี้แหละแต่ว่าทำให้จิตมันทำหน้าที่แค่รู้แค่เห็นเนี่ยร่างกาย
This one is similar to observing the body moving.
ดูร่างกาย
When you observe the body moving, you observe your body moving as if you're observing somebody else's body's
จิต
moving.
สุขจิตทุกข์จิตดีจิตชั่ว
So rule two
สุข
for the body, observing the body and the mind are the
จิตเอง
same.
ดูไป
And the third rule for observing the
ข้อ
mind,
ที่สองเหมือนกัน
this one is also the same as
แล้วกฎ
observing the
การดู
body.
จิตข้อที่สามกับการดูกายข้อที่สามอันนี้ก็เหมือนกันคือดูด้วยความเป็นกลางถ้าเราดูแล้วเกิดยินดีรู้ทัน
Is
เกิด
that
ยินร้าย
the
รู้ทัน
third rule is that
พอเรายินดี
when you are
รู้ทัน
observing the
เกิดยิน
object,
ร้ายจะดับ
observe the feeling or observe
จิ
the
ตจะตั้ง
body,
มั่นขึ้นมา
when you are feeling
ดูไม่
happy
มี
or
ความยิน
unhappy
ดีอยู่
or
ร้าย
neutral, you can know so
ทุ
of
กสิ่
that.
งอย่างเวลาความทุกข์
For
ใน
example,
ใจเราเนี่ย
when you're feeling
ใจ
upset,
เราไม่ชอบ
when you saw
ไม่
that,
ชอบรู้ตรงไหน
when
ไม่ใช่รู้
you
ที่
saw that the anger arise, you saw that and you dislike the
ไม่ชอบ
anger.
ทุกข์เนี่ย
It's not the anger that you are observing anymore. It's the not liking the anger that you should observe.
จะมีความทุกข์ไปดูทุกข์เมื่อไหร่มัน
Many
จะหาย
people
เมื่อไหร่
say
จะ
that
หาย
I observe the mind, I observe the defilement, but the defilement never go
จิต
away.
มันไม่เห็นหายเลย
It is because you are observing the wrong thing. Because
นั่
the
นเป็นอดีต
present thing is the mind that disliking or liking the feeling that
ความ
arise
ทุกข์
before.
ชนิดใหม่ที่เกิดขึ้น
Is that
ใจที่มันไม่ชอบไอ้
is the present feeling that is arising
ความทุกข์นี้
after the defilement
ให้
arise
ดูตัวนี้
that you should know that.
ใหม่ๆสดๆร้อน
For example, when suffering arise,
ๆงั้นถ้า
you can know
ถ้าไม่มี
so
ความทุก
with
ข์
the mind that is with equanimity, that is the
ถ้า
best.
รู้อย่างเป็น
But
กลางได้
when the feeling arise and you have another
เป็น
feeling
กลาง
coming after, like you liked it,
ความอยากเกิด
you're happy that
ถ้ามีสติ
that defilement arise,
ความ
or
อยากแล้ว
you are
อยาก
unhappy.
ให้ความทุกข์มันดับไปนี่
That
คือ
is the
รู้
present feeling that you should know.
อยากให้มันดับไปสิ้นไปเป็นมี
If you do not know so of that, like for example, if the anger arises and you do not like that anger, you want that anger to go away.
สภาวะ
So that is the feeling of not liking the anger,
ที่เป็นตัวรู้
followed by the greed that you want that anger to go away. So you have to know the present,
เวลาที่จิต
the latest feeling that arises.
เราก็จะเห็นจิตมีความทุกข์เกิดขึ้นความทุกข์เกิดขึ้นความทุกข์ไม่ใช่จิต
The mind and suffering, they are actually two separate things. The mind by itself, it does not suffer. It is not happy.
จิตพวกเรา
They are two separate things. But
ไม่ใช่แค่ผู้รู้
we, many of us right now cannot see that. It is too refined.
มีความทุกข์ในใจเกิดขึ้นก็อินเลยไม่ชอบ
An example, like you have a fight with your spouse. If you practice correctly and you can see that you are not happy that you have a fight with your spouse, and when you can know so that you do not like that unhappiness and you want that unhappiness to go away, you can know so of this grief, this not liking the unhappiness. For many people, we want the suffering to go away quickly. So we have to know the later feeling that arises. That is the wanting the suffering to go away. The suffering has already moved on, it's already passed, it's already in the past. It is the wanting that you should observe, that you should know so. Again, rule one, if you observe the mind, observe after the feeling has arisen. If you do not have any feeling right now, you can know so that you're just feeling neutral. That is already you are already know so of the mind. So you don't have to search for the feeling as you observe the mind. Let the feeling arise first. This one, the rule one, is different from observing the body because you can observe the body moving at the present. Like right now, we are sitting, you can know so, right? But if your mind one is lost, so you have to let the mind be lost first, and then you know so that the mind is lost. So that is rule number one. You don't have to search for the feeling. Let the feeling arise first, and then know so. Number two is not to cling yourself to the feeling that arising. Observe as if you are the audience watching a play. And the third rule is to know so if you are welcoming or not welcoming, happy or unhappy when that feeling arises. You don't have to try to fix anything. Just know so of the feeling as it is. So keep observing your mind often, and then you will see that upholding the five moral precepts is not difficult. When the defilement arises, you can know so that when you first started to practice, it may take a while before you realize that the defilement has arisen. But as you keep practicing, you become more skillful, and you can know so as soon as right after the defilement arises. So be mindful. Know so your mind often. Know so if the anchors arise, as you know so the anchor would fall. You can know so when you see a beautiful man or a woman and lust arise, you can know so, and then that lust will fall away. As the mind is restless, when you know so that the mind is restless, the mind will calm down by itself. So keep reading, keep observing your mind. As you observe the mind, when you are mindful, then automatic mindfulness will arise. And as the automatic mindfulness arises, automatic or the true authentic samadhi will also arise. That is the correct samadhi. So you don't have to do anything to make the correct samadhi arise. So just keep training to be mindful often. There are many masters who would teach their students to have correct samadhi for years before teaching their student to cultivate wisdom.
แต่เดี๋ยวนี้พวกเราทำสมาธิยากโลกนี้มันวุ่นวายนะมือถือเนี่ยตัวแสบเลยทำให้ใจเรา
In these generations,
เราต้องใช้อย่างนั้น
not a lot of people can sit still for a long time and practice
คอย
samadhi.
รู้ทันไปการที่
As we
เราคอยรู้
practice,
สึกตัวไม่
we
หลง
can lead by the wisdom
อันนี้เป็นปัญญาขั้นต้นของสัมปชัญญะเป็นปัญญาแล้วนะการที่เราเตือนตัวเอง
by
บ่อยๆบอกตัวเองบ่อยๆ
telling
สำ
to
นึก
practice is by telling
อยู่
ourselves
เรื่อย
often that we are going to observe our mind
ๆไม่
often.
ละเลยไม่ทอดทิ้ง
Don't forget our object
ปัญญา
meditation.
สัมปชัญญะไม่หลงไม่ลืมกรรมฐานที่กำลังทำอยู่นี่อาสัมโมหะสัมปชัญ
As
ญะ
you keep knowing so, keep being
พอ
mindful.
เรา
When the defilement arises, it
ฝึ
will
กไป
fall.
เรื่อยๆนะ
And
กิเลส
when
เกิด
the
ดับในจิต
defilement falls,
เมื่อกิเลสดับ
then
ในจิตก็สงบ
the
จิตก็ตั้ง
stable observer would
จิตเรา
arise.
ฟุ้งซ่านมีสติรู้ว่าจิตฟุ้ง
The
ซ่าน
authentic or the
ด้
correct
วยความเป็น
samadhi
ก
will
ลาง
also
ความ
arise.
ฟุ้งซ่านดับจิตจะตั้งมั่นขึ้นมาสมาธิ
So
รู้สึ
keep
กเกิด
training
ขึ้น
yourself,
มา
keep practicing to be
สติ
mindful
สติ
until
งั้นสัมมาส
the
ติ
correct mindfulness will
ส
arise.
ติรู้สึก
And
กายรู้
then
สึกใจตัวเองเนี่ย
you will
จิต
also
ความ
attain
บ
the
ริสุทธิ์
correct
รู้
samadhi.
สึกใจใจเราเป็นไงรู้
And after you become
พั
skillful,
ฒนา
as soon as your mind
ไป
change,
พอใจเรามี
you
ควา
will
ม
know
เปลี่ยนแปล
so
งนิดเดียวนะ
automatically that is a
ใจ
correct
ที่สัมปชัญญะ
sati, a correct
สัมมาสติ
mindfulness,
จะเกิดร่วม
and then the correct samadhi will also
เราลง
arise.
ไปเนี่ย
The mind becomes the stable observer.
เรารู้เนี่ยทำกรรมฐานสัก
For example, as you practice often and you become skillful in observing
รู้ว่า
yourself,
จิตหลงนะจิต
as the mind
จิต
wander
เกิด
off,
ขึ้น
you know
จิต
so.
รู้คือจิตที่ตั้ง
After you know so,
ตัว
then
อยู่
the mind become a stable observer. The correct samadhi will also arise.
สัมมา
This
สติ
is the training of the mind.
บทเรียนที่สองมาแล้วบทเรียนเรื่อง
So as you keep observing yourself
ตัว
often,
เองแล้วสิ่งที่เราทำ
what you will
สัม
attain
มา
is the correct sati or correct
ถ้า
mindfulness,
มีสัมมาสมาธิ
followed by the correct samadhi.
วิปัสสนาการเจริญปัญญาถึงจะทำได้จริง
There are many courses taught in Thailand that it's called Vipassana course,
เห็นจะวิปั
but
สสนาตรงไหน
many people
ถ้าก่อน
are not
ไปเรียนหลักสูตรวิปัสสนา
successfully
ไม่เอาเดี๋ยวโดนด่า
practice Vipassana. Because if you do not have this mind that is a stable observer, there's no way that you
จะ
can
ตั้งมั่น
practice
วิปัสสนา
Vipassana.
ไม่
If
ได้
you do not have correct samadhi, you cannot cultivate wisdom.
ขาดสัมมาสมาธิเสียอย่างเดียวนะไม่มีทางเกิดวิปั
The
สสนา
correct samadhi
มี
is
สมาสมาธิ
stable.
เป็นยังไงก็ไม่รู้
The mind is a stable observer.
สงบไม่ใช่สัมมาสมาธินะ
That is very important. That is essential before you can cultivate wisdom or practice
ใช้
vipassana.
ได้ยังไงล่ะจิตใจต้องอยู่กับเนื้อกับตัว
So to practice,
ลืมเนื้อลืมตัว
you have to be
จิตไม่
mindful.
ตั้งมั่น
Keep observing, knowing so of your mind,
เรามีสติ
and then you will
อ่านใจตัวเอง
attain the 5 precepts
ไม่ดี
too.
ก็จะมีขึ้นมา
And
มีทาง
with
ที่จะ
the mindfulness
เติ
practice,
บโต
you will also attain the correct
สมาธิ
samadhi,
ยังไม่เคยมีก็จะมีขึ้นมา
and then you can progress on cultivating wisdom.
สมาธิส่วนใหญ่ที่ฝึกกันนะ
That's another type of
ไม่ใช่สมา
samadhi.
ธิ
Samadhi
ฝึก
is
ไปที่ความสงบ
the resting type of
ที่
samadhi.
ความสงบนะมีมาก่อน
That is for the mind to
ทำไม
rest.
ไม่บรรลุมรรคผลยังต้องรอพระพุทธเจ้าตรัสรู้ท่านสอนสัมมาสตินะ
If you keep practicing being mindful,
สติมันทำให้
you're going to have the correct mindfulness.
แข็งแรงขึ้น
And then as you attain the correct mindfulness,
มีสัมมาสติ
then you can attain the correct samadhi.
ภาวะเนี่ยจะรู้
To have the mind that is stable observer
คนที่
is very difficult
หายากมากนะเมื่อก่อนเนี่ยหา
at first.
ได้เลยเดี๋ยวนี้ยังได้เยอะขึ้นนะฟังที่หลวงพ่อพูดเรื่องการเจริญสติ
You have to be mindful often for the correct samadhi to have enough strength. So you can keep knowing so of the body or the mind. If you cannot observe the mind, you can observe the body. So as the body moves, you can know so. The practice as the mind change, you can know so. And then the correct sati would arise. And then the mind that is stable observer will follow. Many of you here, your mind has already changed because you have been practicing knowing so of the body and the mind. If you have, after you can attain the mind that is a stable observer, then you can cultivate wisdom. Cultivating wisdom is not thinking. It relies on many of the faculties. One is the mind that is with the correct samadhi. When you have the mind that is a stable observer, you just observe the phenomena that comes and go. So you have to have the correct samadhi and correct mindfulness. And then that will give rise to the mind that is stable observer. Any phenomena that arise, it can observe. It's like if you're watching a series and you told yourself that, oh, my mind is stable. That is not it. That is knowing so of the stories in the series. That is not having the mind that is stable observer. The mind is already lost in the story. To have a mind that is stable observer, like when you see the main character and you like her and you're happy, that is not correct mindfulness. But if you know so that the mind is happy as you see the main character, that is practicing to attain the correct mindfulness. So to have the mind that is with the correct sati or correct mindfulness, it will see the phenomena as it is without getting involved, without getting lost in the story. Another example, if you see a monk and you have the correct sati or correct mindfulness, you will see a shape of something moving, or if the mind is happy that you see a monk, you see the phenomena that the mind was happy. That is having the correct mindfulness. Like everything that we see, we just see color, and then our perception interpret that we are seeing a monk. And then memory interpretation also say that this shape wearing that robe, color of robe, that is a monk. But as one become attaining a stable observer, if you see just a shape, a physical thing moving, it arises and falls all the time. Or as it observes the mind, when the mind is confused, it knows so that the mind that that is a confusion.
มันต้องหัดรู้สภาวะไปเนี่ยเราจะรู้ได้นะอันแรกจิตต้องตั้งมั่นอันที่สองสติรู้สภาวะรูปธรรมนามธรรมไม่ใช่รู้เรื่องที่คิดนะอันที่สามมีสัญญาที่ถูกต้อง
So as you practice, when the mind is a stable observer, it observes just the phenomena that are arising, not getting involved. And also we practice until we have the right memory, perception, and interpretation.
เวลาที่เราจะเจริญวิปัสสนาเนี่ยอันแรกเราต้องมีจิตที่ตั้งมั่นอันที่สองอันนี้พูดย่อๆนะถ้าพูดละเอียดมีสภาวะธรรมอีกเยอะเลยยังมีมนสิการมีเจตนามีอะไรเยอะแยะฟังเราไม่รู้เรื่อง
So to cultivate wisdom, one, we have to be mindful that the mind is not lost. The second thing is to be a stable observer, to see the phenomena as it is. And the third thing is to have the right perception, memory, and interpretation. That is cultivating wisdom.
การทำสมถะนั้นใช้อารมณ์ปรมัตถ์ก็ทำสมถะได้ไม่ใช่ว่าอารมณ์ปรมัตถ์คือรูปนามแล้วก็จะเป็นวิปัสสนาเสมอไปรู้รูปรู้นามที่คนพูดเยอะๆนะแต่ขาดสองตัวหนึ่งขาด
To practice correctly, you have to have the correct samadhi. When you have the correct samadhi, you see the phenomena as it is. And you also have to have the correct perception and interpretation. And it has to be automatic. When you practice correctly, when at the vipassana moment, everything is automatic. The mindfulness is automatic. The samadhi is also automatic. The perception and interpretation, the correct one, is also automatic. So we have to practice until everything becomes automatic. Another example, like if you see a beautiful woman walking by, when you have the automatic mindfulness and samadhi, you just see a shape walking by, or if the feeling arises that there's a liking of that woman, you can know so of the feeling as it is without getting involved. For those who can observe the physical form, they just see that woman as if it's just a shape, it's just a physical thing moving in front of you. And that physical thing is not that beautiful. It's just something that carry a lot of dirty things inside. Imagine if your body is burned, there's no more skin, no more hair. Is a woman, beautiful woman, still beautiful? Without the outer skin, without the hair, the person is no longer beautiful. If you have enough sati and enough samadhi, you will be able to see that. If your mind is a stable observer, when the eye sees something, when you see a physical thing, and you have the automatic state, samadhi, and the wisdom you have, and you also have the right perception and interpretation. Instead of seeing like a beautiful woman you will see just a physical thing moving, and that physical thing is just covered by a shell, by the skin. Inside, it just carry a lot of dirty stuff, rotten stuff.
ไม่ได้สวยไม่ได้งามเป็นของไม่เที่ยงเป็นทุกข์เป็นอนัตตา
Or as you observe in the mind is just like it has no
ไม่
form.
มีรูปร่างจิตก็เลยมีแค่อนิจจังทุกขังอนัตตาเนี่ยเราต้องเห็นสัญญาต้อง
If
หมาย
you
รู้
don't
ส
have
มาธิ
do not have the perception and interpretation,
ปัญญาไม่เกิดนะสัญญาต้องหมายรู้ให้ถูก
so you don't have the right
รู้
perception
สิ่ง
and
ที่เป็น
interpretation.
ตามที่ปรากฏ
You may see the woman as a woman, but if you have the correct
ถ้าไม่
thing,
รู้
you will see that that physical thing
เป็นปฏิ
is
กูณสุภาพไม่เที่ยงเป็นทุกข์เป็นอนัตตาถ้าหมายรู้จริง
impermanent,
ก็หมายรู้ว่า
suffering,
ไม่เที่ยงเป็นทุกข์เป็นอนัตตา
and non-self.
เราจะหมายรู้อย่างนี้ได้จิตต้องตั้งมั่นจิตต้องมีกำลังพอเนี่ยองค์ธรรม
So
ทั้งหลายที่เกิดขึ้นเนี่ย
the
เรา
factors
สา
that
มารถปฏิบัติ
it will have to come together as you practice
ใช้
vipassana
ศีล 5 ไว้ก่อน
for the
แล้วก็พัฒนาส
vipassana
ติ
moment to
ไป
arise.
พัฒนาสติ
But at the beginning, keep practicing by being mindful.
ผ่านไปเรื่อยๆพอสติเกิดสมาธิก็เกิดสมาธิเกิดปัญญาก็เกิดมันจะเริ่มจากไปหมายรู้ถูกแล้วก็ต่อไปปัญญา
And we have to have the
ถ้าไม่มีสัญ
right
ญานะ
perception and
เกิด
interpretation
ปัญญาไม่ได้
for the vipassana
คำ
to
สอน
to
สัญญา
arise.
เป็นศัตรูของปัญญาเป็นคนละยากันนะคนละเรื่องกันภาษาลิ
Some
บุตร
say
ท่านบอกว่า
you can ignore this
เข้า
aggregate of the perception and
เรียก
interpretation,
ว่าสัญญานาสัม
but
ปชัญญะ
without this aggregate, you cannot
ซึ่ง
cultivate
ไม่ต้องเปลี่ยนอะไร
vipassana.
แต่ถ้าเป็นผู้รู้ฟังไม่มีสัญญา
So, but you need to have the correct
ไม่ต้องไปรังเกียจ
perception and
สัญญา
interpretation
ต้องมีสัญญา
for vipassana moment
สัญญามี
to
สัญญา
complete.
จำได้ก็หมายรู้จำได้เช่นจำรูปได้จำเสียงจำกลิ่นจำรสจำสัมผัสได้จำเรื่อง
This
ราวในอดีต
aggregate
ได้
the memory, perception, and
ในส่วนของ
interpretation.
ความจำ
It interpret what you see, what you
หมาย
experience.
รู้มีสองอันหมายรู้ถูกกับหมายรู้ผิด
But
ถ้าหมายรู้
right now,
ร่างกาย
we mostly have the
ผิด
wrong perception interpretation. For example, when you see a person, you thought that the person is permanent, beautiful,
ได้เป็นไปตามใจปรารถนา
long lasting.
ถ้าหมายรู้ถูก
But if you have the correct perception interpretation, you see that all things fall under the three characteristics that they are non-self, impermanent, and suffering.
ความสุขเกิดเนี่ยจิตเราตั้งมั่นส
So
ติ
the perception and interpretation,
สัญญา
this is like
มอง
having
มุ
the
มมองของจิต
giving the mind the right
สัญญา
lens
มันเป็นม
to
อง
view
เห็น
things
ความสุขอันเนี้ยในมุมที่เป็นไตรลักษณ์
or the
แต่
right
สัญญาทำหน้าที่เหมือนเป็นมุมมองของ
perception
จิตนะ
to view things.
ถ้ามัน
For example, with the correct perception and interpretation,
ก็เกิดปัญ
the
ญา
mind will conclude that even happiness, it is impermanent, it comes and goes.
ค่อย
But keep practicing,
ๆ
keep being mindful, and then one day
เรา
you will see this for yourself.
จะรู้ด้วยตัวเอง
Just like what Luangpu said. Luangpu said that to practice is not difficult. You have read many books. Now it's time to read your mind. So keep reading your mind. Know so when the mind is happy, unhappy, when the mind is good or bad, when the mind is lost, lost within the body, lost within the mind. But you don't have to know the mind all the time. Just know so as much as you can.
ไม่ต้องรู้ทุกตัวที่หลวงพ่อ
When Luangpu first started to
ที่
practice how to know so of the mind, Luangpu started by knowing when the anger arises because Luangpu has a temperament of anger temperament. So he could observe that often.
ใช้ทำให้ยืด
He
ยาด
get irritated often. So he used that to practice. He knows so when the mind is with anger. He knows so when the mind is without anger. So หลวงพ่อ keep observe things all day long. Sometimes the anger arises and then sometimes anger falls away. That's all หลวงพ่อ did when he first started to observing the mind. He knew so when the mind is with anger. He knew so when the mind is without anger. And then after he's more skillful, he started to observe other defilement. Know when he was liking things, know when the mind's lost. After he was skillful in observing his mind, he started to observe other defilement. He started to observe other changes when the mind changed. หลวงพ่อ didn't realize that you can let go of the mind. But until one day after he observed the mind again and again, one day he realized that he can let go of the mind. That's all the Dharma talk for today. หลวงพ่อ I think that clock is correct, not that clock in the back. That is all for today. อนุโมทนาค่ะ